In this review we're looking at another model in Diecast Masters Transport series. It is the Western Star 49X SBFA Tridem axle heavy haul tractor with XL120 low profile HDG trailer. Phew. Anyway, it comes in an outer shipping carton and weighs £3 13 ounces or about 1.7 kilograms. As you can see, this is model number 71090. And let's open up the shipping carton and see what's inside. The easiest thing to do is to end tip the contents. And when we pull the inner box out, we see a nicely coloured box. It is one of the Transport series, and here we can see a picture of the model. Underneath is the usual warning notices plus barcode. And if we turn the box around to the opposite side, we see some different information. There's some information about the Western Star tractor, and there's some pictures of other Western Star models. Next we can stick a finger in a hole and slide out the inner box. And if we lift out the plastic former that's on top, we can see a couple of things, and the first is a mini brochure of the Transport series. And secondly, there are a number of loose parts to remove. Next we can begin to take out the parts of the model, and we'll start with the Western Star. And the model comes out in 4 separate pieces. And there are a number of other small parts, including pins and screws. Let's take a quick look at the included brochure. And Diecast Masters now makes loads of transport models. A surprise hiding in the brochure is a pull-out sheet, and that contains instructions for the Western Star tractor. It describes how the headache rack can be removed, and we'll give that a try later and see how we get on. We will start the assembly by fitting extensions to the 2 exhaust stacks, and they are a good fit. Next we'll attach the trailer, and we need to extend the gooseneck and pin it at its extended length. It's needed so that it spans over the Tridem axles. Attaching the trailer is dead easy because the pin just drops into the 5th wheel. Next we have a couple of signboards to add, and the first of those fits nicely into the top of the headache rack. And there's also an oversized load sign for the back of the trailer. So with all the model parts out of the box, how much does it weigh? And it's about £1 11 ounces or 760 grams. Let's take a look underneath the Western Star, and there's some reasonable detailing of the engine area and gearbox, and there's a plastic drive shaft running to the rear axles. The rear suspension is all modelled, but it's not functional, and there are different tyres, front and rear. The front of the grille has got the Western Star logo, and that's also replicated on the rubber mud flaps at the front. The roof of the cab has air horns, and there are the usual details of mirrors and windscreen wipers. There's another Western Star logo on the side of the hood, and there's lots of shiny chromework including the wheels, the steps and the exhaust stack and the tank behind the cab. Out of the box there's a big chrome headache rack fitted, although there are no coiled lines for connection to the trailer. On top there's a large beacon light bar. Behind the cab the rest of the chassis is modelled in metal, and there's the usual 5th wheel. At the back there are nice rubber mud flaps and a fairly crude towing hitch. Moving on to the trailer, and the detailing of the boosters are of the same standard, and it's simple straightforward modelling. Again there are more soft mud flaps which look nice, and the gooseneck has 2 kingpin positions. The gooseneck has got some nice graphics applied. There's plastic replica timber decking, and there's some nice detailing along the edges of the trailer. At the back there's textured surfaces above the wheels, and the chrome wheels look particularly good. At the back there are painted lights and some more graphics, and XL branded mud flaps. One very nice aspect of the trailer modelling is the realistic pre-camber. Back to the Western Star, and the rear wheels spin freely, and there is steering on the front axle but with a very limited range of movement. Out on the Cranes etc. superhighway, the Western Star rolls nicely enough, but the restricted steering angle soon means that the front axle is fouled, so it doesn't roll quite so well. The model features an opening hood, and that lets you see some engine detail made up of a number of different components. You can open the cab doors, but they are very stiff, but the absence of door windows means you can stick your finger in to help get the door open. Inside, the console detailing is very good. Onto the trailer, the rear wheels spin freely, but there's no suspension, but the gooseneck has a good range of movement. You can also adjust the length of the gooseneck from long to short. To remove the gooseneck, you turn a little switch under the trailer, and then you can remove the gooseneck from the top. To facilitate loading, there are fold-down ramps, and if you want to configure the trailer for heavy haul, you can add on one of the two supplied boosters. There's a 2-axle and a 1-axle, and they both connect in the same way. Once connected, the levels are good because all of the wheels remain properly grounded. Another configuration option for the Western Star is that you can remove the headache rack. There are 2 screws underneath the chassis, and once they're undone, the headache rack just lifts straight off. You can then replace it with a different walkway plate, and once it slots in, you can secure it with the 2 screws. Fully configured, this is a long model, so let's do the dim check, and it's about 2 feet or 60 centimeters long. Of course, a heavy haulage trailer like this always looks good with a load on board. This is a robust transport model from Diecast Masters. It has got some decent detailing and functionality, and there are plenty of different display configurations. It's also a good match to go with Diecast Masters Caterpillar models. Overall, there's enough for it to be rated very good.